Am I the asshole for walking out on my date after she told me she had 5 kids from 3 different fathers? So, here's what happened. I was on a first date with a woman I met on an online dating site. She's 32, or at least that's what her profile said. I'd been chatting with her for a little while and everything seemed fine, nothing too deep, just light conversation about our interests, work, that sort of thing. We decided to meet in person at a restaurant for dinner. I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. But things started going off course the moment I saw her. The first thing I noticed was that she looked very little like her pictures. It wasn't exactly a catfish situation, but let's just say she knew how to play with angles and filters to present herself in the best possible light. I get it, everyone wants to look good online, but there's a difference between putting your best foot forward and presenting yourself as someone you're not. The whole thing instantly turned me off, and I could feel my enthusiasm for the date deflating. But I decided to stick it out, thinking maybe I was being too quick to judge. We got seated, ordered drinks, and started talking. I tried to keep things light and pleasant, but the disconnection I felt when I saw her was lingering in the back of my mind. I couldn't help but feel like there was already a layer of dishonesty in how she presented herself, but I figured I could get past that if there was a real connection between us. Then, after our drinks arrived, but before the food, the conversation took a turn I didn't see coming. We were doing the usual small talk, where we're from, what we do for work, hobbies, and out of nowhere, she tells me she has 5 kids. Now let me be clear, I'm not someone who's against dating someone with kids, but 5 kids? That was a lot, and to drop that bomb so casually threw me for a loop. I already knew she had never been married, at least from what she told me in our online chats. So, naturally I asked, probably too bluntly, if they all had the same father. I know, maybe it wasn't the smoothest way to phrase it, but I was trying to wrap my head around the situation. She looked a bit uncomfortable but still answered, no they don't. At this point, I was already feeling the weight of what she just told me. But then I asked the question I knew I probably shouldn't. How many fathers are we talking about? I could see her hesitation, and it took her a moment before she said, 3. 3 different fathers for 5 kids. I wasn't sure how to react. It was like this whole picture of her life that I hadn't expected suddenly fell into place. And it was overwhelming. My immediate reaction, honestly, was disbelief. I just sat there kind of stunned, processing it. I must have looked like a deer in the headlights because the silence that followed felt thick and awkward. I felt this sudden wave of nervous laughter bubbling up inside me, not because it was funny, but maybe because I didn't know what else to do. I managed to hold it together, but all I could say was, wow. I wasn't sure if I was more surprised by the number of kids or the fact that she didn't mention it at all in her profile. I mean, this felt like something pretty important to disclose, right? 5 kids and 3 baby daddies. That's a lot for anyone to process on a first date. And honestly, I felt like it wasn't fair to just drop that out of the blue. After about 30 seconds of silence, me trying to figure out how to respond without being rude, I just knew. I knew I couldn't see myself moving forward with this. I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility and the whole situation felt overwhelming. So, I told her, I don't see this going anywhere. I put enough money on the table to cover my drink and the food I had ordered, even though it hadn't arrived yet, and I got up to leave. I didn't say anything else, didn't offer any explanation beyond that. I just walked out. Now, as I left, part of me felt a little guilty. I had the urge to turn back and say, hey, you should really mention you have 5 kids from 3 different men in your profile so you don't waste people's time. But I didn't want to add insult to injury, especially since I was walking out mid-date. I also realized that maybe I should have asked about her family situation before we met in person, but I didn't think to, and now here we were. Afterward, I started thinking about it more and wondering if I had overreacted. Was I too harsh? Should I have stuck around and heard her out? Maybe the way I handled it, leaving so abruptly, was a bit rude, but I also felt like I was justified. I mean, 5 kids and 3 fathers is a lot to take in. If she'd been upfront about it from the start, we probably wouldn't have even gotten to that first date. So, am I the asshole for walking out on her when she dropped that on me? Or was it fair for me to feel blindsided and leave? I still feel conflicted, but I honestly didn't see how this was going to work out.